So welcome to the NLP UK Training podcast. I'm Fraser.
I'm Steve Kay.
And today we're going to be talking about how NLP has actually changed our lives.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah,
How did you get into NLP?
Well, I did a degree in psychology way back in the day. And I'd heard a little bit about NLP. We kind of touched on it in my degree, but then I'd gone off and done other things. I'd gone into sales environment, became a senior leader for a financial company, and then I started my own business. So my main business was as a dance franchisee. So I had one of the biggest rock franchises in the UK, and I had 12 venues across the East Midlands, South Yorkshire, and Derbyshire. And I taught dance pretty much every night of the week. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Was it kind of Latin American?
No, Ciroc's the brand name for the franchise, but essentially it's a blend of modern jive, ballroom, salsa, and it's a really fun partner dance. So adults only, didn't teach children. It was like herding cats with adults, let alone kids as well. So I had that business for nearly probably 18 years. And then something happened. I got some swelling in one of my ankles and went off to the GP. They said, just take some ibuprofen, you'll be fine. I was like, this doesn't feel like it's going to work with just a bit of ibuprofen. I know my body. And it went on and on and on. And in the end, my entire ankle was swollen. It was absolutely enormous. It looks like an elephant foot, which is not a good look for a dance teacher. And eventually they referred me on to consulting. And they couldn't figure out what it was, couldn't figure it out. And eventually, I can remember sitting in the consultant's office and him telling me that I had something called psoriatic arthritis.
Okay.
Which, for those of you that don't know what that is, and I certainly didn't at the time, it's an autoimmune form of arthritis, which is a pretty hefty diagnosis for anyone. For a professional dance teacher, it was a game changer. So the consultant basically said, yeah, you've maybe got 3 to 5 years left.
Dancing?
Yeah.
Or...
not 3 to 5 years. I've lasted a bit longer than 3 to 5 years, but 3 to 5 years as a professional dancer. So I kind of just ignored it for a bit. They put me on some medication, which didn't make me feel very great, but it got the swelling down. I got back to dancing. And I just kind of buried my head in the sand for quite a while about it and carried on with my business. And then it started to get worse and I started to get more regular flare-ups. And the consultant was saying, this is, well, we can try this other medication, we can do this, we can do that, but, you put a lot of pressure on your body. And I was probably dancing 40, 60 hours a week at that point.
About 5 nights a week.
5 nights a week, weekends as well. Doing workshops on a weekend. Weekenders would be pretty much from Friday nights on Monday morning non-stop with a couple of hours sleep thrown in. So I was just putting my body under a lot of pressure. So I knew I couldn't continue in the way that I was. So I had to think about, did I want to keep running my business without teaching dancing? And actually, that was the part that I loved. It wasn't the business side of things. It wasn't the back office stuff. It was actually helping people to see their own potential.
And have fun.
And have a lot of fun. Absolutely. But, people used to come in, see, guys like you would come in, dragged along by their wives or girlfriends. Go, I can't dance. Where's the bar? Let me have a pint first. But actually, by the end of the first class, you can actually see their confidence blossoming. So it wasn't just about the dancing. It was about people realizing actually they could do this thing that we're a little bit scared of. So I kind of thought, right, okay, I can't run the business. I'm going to sell it. What can I do? And I thought, you know what? I can go back and do what I used to do before. I can go back into the corporate world. And when I worked as a senior manager, one of the things that I loved about my role was coaching, and kind of really helping people develop in whichever way was right for them. You know, that was my favorite part of the job. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to update my coaching qualifications. I had a little look online, and up popped the NLP UK Training website. I thought, oh, they're all named Castle Donington. I can drive there. Right, okay, NLP practitioner, NLP coach, timeline therapist, that will do me nicely. So I phoned Lorna, and I can still remember that very first conversation with Lorna, and I just got such a great feeling. She's like, yeah, okay, this is how it works. You know, it's a 7-day course. We split it into 4 days for the first part, then you go away for a week, come back, second part, 3 days. You know, your trainer Steve's lovely, you know, really knows his stuff. You have a great experience. So paid my deposit, got my box of goodies sent in the post with my folder, my book, and my test. So there was a little test to do as well. And it was the first time I picked up a textbook since I was at uni. I can remember sitting looking at this test going, oh my God, I'm never going to get through this. And phoning Lorna up going, I don't know how to do it. And she just held my hand throughout the entire process. I can remember turning up at Castle Donington that first day, and I think there was quite a few of us on my course. I'm still in touch with some of the people that were on my practitioner course back in 2017. And I can remember you asking us to introduce ourselves. And I introduced myself. Why, you know, one of the things that you asked us to talk about was why we're on the course. I said, oh, I want to go back into the corporate world. This is the situation. And you nodded your head. And about halfway through the first morning, I can remember you saying to me, did you say that you wanted to go back into the corporate world?
That's right, I remember.
And I went, yeah. And
I thought I laughed.
You did laugh. I'm a bit rude. He's like, no, you're an entrepreneur through and through. I can't see you back in the corporate world. And Steve was absolutely right. So basically, on day 2 of practitioner, day 2 is when we start doing NLP interventions. We do submodalities on day 2. And we do something called a like to dislike with a food or drink. And we do a limiting belief change with submodalities, which is just really changing pictures in your mind. And I can remember sitting there thinking, oh my God, this is just brilliant. I love this. He's a wizard. And I literally came home and I phoned Lauren. I went, sign me up for Master Practitioner. I love this. And that was kind of the day that I decided I wasn't going back into the corporate world. I was definitely selling my dance business, but I had no clue where this was going to take me. So I completed my practitioner. I'd obviously signed up to do Master Practitioner, went away, continued with my dance business, had a buyer in the background, but wasn't quite ready to sell. Then did my Master Practitioner course, which was absolutely next level. The confidence levels that you feel once you've done Master Practitioner is just phenomenal. I was seeing a few coaching clients, but I can remember at the end of Master Practitioner, we do something called a breakthrough day. So a breakthrough day is a phenomenal day of NLP and coaching where you basically just dump everything out and sort everything out, get rid of any negative emotions that you're carrying from the past, get rid of any negative beliefs about yourselves, any limiting beliefs, and really start to formulate where you want to go. And that breakthrough day on Master Practitioner really changed everything for me. So got rid of a big limiting belief that I had about myself. And most people would have kind of met me, seen me up on stage, teaching, dancing. I was very confident on stage. But actually, that limiting belief that I had was stopping me from seeing some of the things that I really wanted, but it was kind of acting like a filter. So I wasn't even seeing what was possible. So after the breakthrough day, I sold my business, went into coaching and training full time. And I can remember the day after I sold my dance business, I did my very first associate work for quality culture. Steve was doing a leadership course and asked me to come and coach one of the delegates down at Seva Logistics.
Yeah.
And that kind of changed everything, really. Within a couple of months, Steve had a conversation with me saying, why don't you do your NLP trainers training? It's like, well, I don't really want to set up a business in kind of conflict with yours. You're local. It just doesn't feel right. He said, well, we can work something out. We can work together. And that kind of was a light bulb moment for me that said, yeah, absolutely. I'm going 100% all in with this. And started studying with the Tad James company to do my trainers training. So really from 2017, yes, it's been a huge investment in myself, but now I wake up every day excited about what I do. I got a new practitioner course, a new Master Practitioner course, and I am genuinely excited to do what I'm doing. And it works with my condition as well. Because, I am not being physical for 40 to 60 hours a week. Yes, I might be on my feet training if it's face to face, but most of the time these days I'm sitting in front of a screen training on Teams. But it's also helps me cope with my condition. So my condition can flare. As Steve knows, he's seen me in flare, which is very pleasant. So when I'm in flare, it can mean that I can't walk. I'm in quite a bit of pain. And that can really have an impact on your mental health. One of the first things that any arthritis consultant will ask you when you go into their office is, how's your mental health? How are you feeling? Rather than your physical condition. And actually, NLP has given me the tools to deal with that. So I don't get down about my condition. I just get on with it because I've got all those fantastic tools from both NLP and positive psychology that we teach on Practitioner and Master Practitioner, which means that I've got the mechanisms to live my absolute best life that includes an autoimmune condition.
So you practice self-talk and
absolutely
asking yourself better questions like we've discussed previously.
Absolutely. When I'm in flare, it's not, oh my God, this is really painful. Okay, so what can I do to improve the situation? So I start to think about, how can I take better care of myself? How can I implement rest periods? How can I tweak my lifestyle to get a better result?
Yeah. And when things are stressful, it'll pass.
Absolutely. And actually, I know that the things that are happening outside of me can only impact me if I choose to let them impact me.
Yeah.
So what I'm feeling isn't, if I'm feeling a bit down, that's not because of my arthritis. That's because of how I'm thinking about my arthritis.
Yeah.
And I can always choose to think about it in a different way.
Yeah. Interestingly, you've said my arthritis, but it's not really your arthritis, is it?
It's the condition that I have.
Yeah. It's not my arthritis.
It's just a condition. You can have it if you want.
Yeah. No, but we do say, don't we? We say my this, my that. So it becomes part of us, part of our identity, but you've not let that happen.
No, and I think that's really important. When you have got a long-term condition, it can feel like it takes over everything, and it becomes who you are, not what you have. So for me, arthritis is not who I am. It's something that I manage on a day-to-day basis, and that's okay.
Yeah. So tell us about your trainer's training, because I know you did it on Teams, on Zoom. You were supposed to go to Sydney for a month, or a bit more than a month, and you ended up having to do it on Zoom in your conservatory
in October, in the middle of the night,
starting 11 o'clock at night and finishing at 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I know in the first week you couldn't sleep properly, but somehow you broke through that and did it for 35 nights or something.
Yeah, 35
How
nights.
did you do that? I know previously we talked about taking action and getting on with it, but that was proof that anybody could do anything.
So I think for me, when the pandemic hit and I couldn't go to Australia, there was no question for me that this was something that I was so passionate about and so wanted to do. I had to find a way to do it. So when the Tad James company decided they would have put it on Zoom, I was the only one in the UK on this time zone that was doing it. The vast majority, and it was only 6 of us in the Northern Hemisphere that were doing the course. Everyone else was in the Southern Hemisphere. So yes, it'd be a time difference, but not quite as extreme as the UK. But for me, there was no question. It was, this is something that I want to do. I'd been working on it for over a year, and you'd actually had the certificates for the next cohort of practitioners printed with my name on the certificate and my signature. I knew I was going to be working with that group and training them. And for me, those certificates were already printed. I was their NLP trainer, and I had to have that qualification by the end of it. So those 4 o'clock lulls, which were pretty tough most nights, kind of between 4 and 5 when I was flagging, it was like, I knew that would give me the ability to impact so many people and help them to get what I got from NLP. So for me, it's about my why. And that why is about the impact that I can have and NLP can have on someone else's life, so that they can have the kind of insights that I've had and Steve's had and lots of our delegates have had, to be able to really live their best life.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because before you did your NLP practitioner, you probably wouldn't know the benefits you were going to get from it. And most people know a little bit about it and research it. Then they come on and they go, well, do you know what? I've done that limiting belief change. Before I came on here, I was really skeptical about this. And other people go, yeah, so was I. And I said, well, it's because it's so quick.
Yeah.
We're taught that it takes a long time for something to change. But actually it doesn't, does it?
No, the great thing about NLP is that it's quick, it's easy.
Yeah.
And it's not painful. Not, like a lot of kind of therapy, if someone was to ask me about my limiting belief, that might actually be quite painful. With NLP, we just change it. Yeah. And it takes 20 minutes.
Yeah. Even faster on the Master Practitioner.
Yeah, 5 minutes on Master Practitioner.
Do you remember when we talked about the script on a previous podcast? We said that our model of the world is kind of our script. Our script gets fed from birth. We come into the world perfect, and then gradually things and other people's ideas get added on and added on and added on. And I think when people do the NLP practitioner and then go on to do master, that it kind of gets uncovered. The dust gets blown off.
Yeah.
The dust that stops people from seeing opportunities, because they're just seeing the world the way they think it is. Whereas you now see the world differently. I know when I did Master Practitioner, I didn't have a great experience of getting rid of limiting beliefs on Practitioner, because we didn't drill down to the lowest ones. But I know when I did Master Practitioner, I had a limiting belief about not being good enough. And I thought, where's that come from? Anyway, they got rid of it on my breakthrough day, a guy called Ian, bless him. And the day after, I think something happened with one of the associate companies I was still doing leadership training for. And I thought, that's it. I'm not doing it anymore. And our sales went up by 40% the following year because I just let go of all the low-level stuff that I didn't want to do, really. But something unconsciously was keeping me doing it.
And that's the thing, isn't it? You know, you come on an NLP practitioner course, it is not just about gaining a new qualification. It will change your life. If you really embrace it and go for it and be open to it, it can be fundamentally life-changing, can't it?
It can. I used to say, it's like everybody in the country's got black and white TVs, old black and white TVs like your grandparents might have had, or your great-grandparents. And a few people can see the world like with a 4K HD 42-inch screen, and only a few people know it exists like that, whereas the rest have still got, 2 channels, BBC, ITV. And they're having and getting through things and doing things, but they don't realize how fast they could move, or how much they could achieve, or how happy they could be if they could let go of some of the stuff.
So guys, if you want to find out how to upgrade to that latest TV, have a look on our website at NLP UK Training. Link will be in the podcast. And we will see you for our next episode. So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.